Hi,
How are you?
I am good. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm going to confess that I like was exceptionally nervous for this conversation. I don't know why, but I had to actually calm myself down. um,
No, I was the one. I was the one that was nervous,
I swear.
because I've been following your work for a very long time.
My goodness.
Now you want me to expose myself
I swear.
to you and the world,
No.
which is quite a scary thing.
Ah. Oh, wow. If only you know. Well, you'll know by the end of this conversation. So, everybody, this is Mpendulo. Now, I see another name.
Yes.
Like, what is it? Like on the Noteworthy album, your
Oh,
face
on the
with
album
another
cover.
name. What's up with that?
I actually I actually asked them to change that. That was an old high school nickname that I used to have,
Ah,
called Pied. I don't even know where it comes from anymore, but I think it had something to do with the Pied Piper, something along those lines. So
mm.
that's what everyone calls me. That's what my friends call me. Like people who are very close to my circle, they refer to me as Pied. But
You'll get a lot of people now calling you Pride after this.
yeah, yeah,
So, for the
But I
benefit
mean,
of
I'm old now. I think I think I just prefer my name,
your actual name.
my government
Mhm.
name. So it is. Yeah, yeah.
So why don't you tell everyone like who you are? I will also be learning because wait, before you start, I need to say no, this
Yeah.
is the first time I am speaking to Mpendulo. I just want that to be noted. My
Yep.
nerves are beyond finished. So Mpendulo, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. It's okay. So Mpendulo Sibanyoni, that's who I am. Something that a lot of people don't know is that I come from Swaziland. I'm actually Swati, you know. I was born and bred in Swaziland. That's
Wow.
me. Yeah, yeah. My family comes from Swaziland. That's where we originate from, you know. Did move to South Africa sometime during my life. I was still very young, but I mean,
Mhm.
a lot of my roots are still in Swaziland, and I still identify with a lot of that culture
Mhm.
and that being, you know, because that's who I am. That's who I
Mhm.
am. Yeah, people
Absolutely.
have mistaken me for a lot of other things, but yeah, Swati. That's who I am. I think that's the first and probably most important definition, you know, because I think
Mhm.
it sets off probably a lot of other things as well. Yeah,
Mhm.
but apart from that, very quiet guy, very calm person. I don't like to make a lot of noise. I like to keep to myself and do what I have to do, and just keep it cool, calm, and collected. Obviously, I love music. Music is a very big part of my life. Has been for my entire life, maybe probably since before I was born, because it came from my parents, and they were very musical people as well.
Ah,
Um,
generation.
and something else as well, people usually think I do music full time. I wish I did. Actually, I'll probably get to a point in life where I do
Mhm.
music as a full time, trait. But for now, I'm a civil engineering practitioner. That's what I do. I work in the civil engineering space
Okay.
during the day. That's where you'll find me. And
My
then,
goodness.
in between all of that, I try and find time to do the music and to make everything work that way. Yeah, that's sort of a basic introduction.
I am one of those people. I am one of those many people who just assumed, based on what I have
Yeah.
heard from you, that this is what you do. Wow. Okay. I'm learning.
Sure. It is what I wanted to do. That's definitely what I wanted to do. But I think I share the same story as many other people out there who are musicians at heart, but are not doing it as a full-time trade. When you leave high school and you come home with this grand idea of wanting to be a full-time musician, it gets very quickly. you know,
Put it
there's
in
water
place.
poured into the fire very quickly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was one of those. Yes, I was one of those. I was one of those people, which is how I ended up doing what I'm doing. But I think, I mean, looking back, I think it was not too much of a bad thing, because had I gone into full-time music back then, I think I would have wanted to be an artist, because that's what I knew back then. My knowledge
Mm.
of the music industry was not as vast as it is right now. So I probably would have just wanted to be a performer. And with time and with maturity, I've realized that I'm not a performer. I prefer to be a writer, arranger, producer. That's where I think my skills are mostly shine. So I think I needed to go through a couple of things in my personal journey and in the music journey to discover that.
Mm-hmm,
So maybe
mm-hmm.
it wasn't too much of a bad thing.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking now as you're talking, like you say you're not a performer. Oh my word. Oh my word. Just shut up already. Um, this guy, for those of you watching, this guy,
Yeah.
he's an awesome vocalist. It's not a mistake. It's not an almost a trying, no? He's an awesome performer. And here's what I believe. I believe
Yeah.
if you if you want to be good at one thing in the music in
Sure.
all the facets of music, you actually have to try everything.
Yeah.
You have to try. How do you know that this
That's
stands
true.
out if you haven't
That's
tried
true.
everything else, you
Yeah.
know? So for me, I would see
Yeah.
you as
Yeah.
someone who started as a performer but quickly learned that there were these
Yeah.
other aspects of music, and now you excel
Yeah.
everything at everything.
That's true. That's true. Thank you for that. And yeah, that's true. I think also the advantage with being a performer, especially when you move into production, you're able to bring out the best out of the people that are performing, whether it's your work or whatever it is that you're producing, because you've been there,
Mm,
and you're aware of certain performance elements, and you can bring out the best, I guess, in people, because you've been there. But I think one thing that made me realize that I probably want to stick to this. I mean, there are amazing singers out there, because in the past I've had other people sing my work, and
wow.
I've just been amazed. I've been amazed at how it's been able to come out, because they're such great vocalists. So I was like, okay, maybe I should stop singing and just write and give it to other people who can be able to, more aptly be able to express vocally, you know, the
Mm.
vision that I have. Yeah.
I've had the same experience, but not because people necessarily have. Oh wait, oh wait, people have sung my work. Um, I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
it's a far greater exhilaration for me, to witness
Sure.
that or be part of it, um, and
Yeah.
yeah, how has the experience been with you sharing your work, like having other people do your work?
In It was very tough in the beginning,
Huh.
because I think I started creating music at a very young age. But there's always that skepticism, that you experience with sharing your work, and just like, is this good? Is this worthy of being imposed upon other people, or will other people just think, what is this guy doing? This is crazy. How can we sing this? How can we perform this? So I've always had that skepticism,
Mm.
and I'm a huge critic of my own work.
Oh yeah.
You know, so yeah, very, very big. There are many things that I haven't released, or that I haven't wanted to share, simply because I have thought, they haven't reached probably the level that I would want them to reach, or probably think that people wouldn't be able to accept them the way that I want that particular thing to be accepted or envisioned. So you do get those barriers, and where you doubt yourself, I guess, if you can say.
Yeah.
But I think it just got to a point where I was like, there's so much good that can come out of that, and you can never really fully be able to understand what your work means to other people, or how it will be influenced, because you look at your own faults and you look at your own shortcomings and your own journey,
Yeah.
and then you think other people will take it that way too. But I found that it's not the case most of the time. People see the purity, in what you're doing,
Mm.
and they are able to draw way more other things than what you could have imagined. I've had people come and interpret some of my writing in a way that I could have never interpreted. And I'm like, wow, I never thought of it that way,
Mm.
in terms of a message or a concept or whatever it is. So I think I'm slowly learning, and getting to the point where I'm just letting it all out to say, here it is.
Mm.
This is who I am. If you get something from it, great. If you don't, that's also fine. But it's out there, and it'll do the work that it's supposed to do to the people to whom it's supposed to do it. So yeah, it was tough in the beginning, but now I'm finding that it's getting easier and easier to just let go,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
share.
I would swear that
Yeah,
you like read my book or something, because that's more or less like how my experience has
yeah.
been as well. I mean, I've been arranging since I
Mm,
was a kid, since I was 12. I
sure.
arranged for a
Yeah.
trio,
Mm,
and yeah,
yeah.
it went on and on and on from there. But
Yeah.
it was different when I had to let other people sing my arrangement.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was very
Yeah.
nerve-wracking for me, but there's something
Yeah.
you said about where you've gotten to, and that is it's in the sharing.
Yeah.
It's in the sharing. That's where the
Sure.
issue is. It's not in how people perceive it or
Mm,
who likes it or doesn't, because music is so
yeah.
broad. Everybody's got their thing. So cool.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just
Mm,
found that the sharing, the having the guts to actually put
yeah.
out an album. I mean, this is the first solo album.
Yep.
My nerves,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I put out. So it's
And
yo.
yeah, that was quite a beautiful offering, by the way. I actually have been tempted to I think there's a solo piano piece there, that spoke to me so much, that I've been thinking about, to say, hey, one day
I
maybe
still got what's
one
a one
can
day.
try and experiment with some vocals on top of this. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. um,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that. I mean, the sharing experience with
Yeah.
putting out that album was, I was
Mm.
putting out who I am, not who I think
Yes.
people want
Yes.
me to be. Oh my goodness, years of that
Sure. Sure.
exhausting way to live.
Sure. Yeah.
So now I'm really loving it.
Mm.
So speaking of really living,
Yeah.
um, there's something about your arrangements. I mean, there's so much I want to ask you, but this must come in. There's
Yeah.
something about your arrangements that, I've listened to them across, different genres and so on.
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Mm.
I can see
Yeah.
your music in my head. Um,
Yeah.
and what I've found is that the melody always is
Yeah.
respected, you know, and that doesn't take
Sure.
away from your arrangement. It elevates it
Yeah.
because you know just
Yeah.
how to keep the
Yeah.
melody the focus, even if it means that you're playing with a melody. It must be very clear, and it
Sure.
is. And yes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
what's your process of putting together an arrangement?
Yeah. Sure. That's an interesting question. Very broad. I'll try and see how I can best break it down. I think it's involved, a lot of growth and discovery through the years. If I go back to some of the things that I was doing, say in high school, early high school, because I think that's when I really started experimenting with writing and arranging. You'll notice a lot of excitement in the ideology, even melodically, because you've got all these ideas that you simply have to express in this particular thing, and you want to prove to yourself, you want to prove to other people as well that you know this, you can do this, you have the knowledge, and so forth. So if you listen to a lot of that stuff, a lot of it is very, very choppy in nature, and not very, very structured, because it's more, I think it represents a lot of discovery and immaturity, not in a bad way, not to say immaturity, but I mean, you're starting off, and you haven't really been able to establish a signature, and arranging or compositional signature for yourself. Because I mean, I grew up in an Adventist home, a very musical Adventist home, and the kind of things my parents used to play were always very structured, that play obviously your heritage heralds, you name it, that kind of thing. And the songs are always very structured in a particular way. Even if it's an arrangement, there'll be a lot of the original sort of template of the music coming through in what they're doing, So and I think it got to a point where I realized that, writing music, arranging is really all about storytelling, and taking people on a journey, both lyrically and also, melodically, harmonically, how the song flows from the beginning to the end. There must be a point where the listener feels, that they're experiencing now the climax of the message or the music or whatever it is, So I think I then started. And I also listened to a talk, by Cedric Dent quite a very long time ago. We were speaking about like arranging aspects, and I think the first point he made, and I remember this very clearly. He said, melody is king. Melody is king. Whether you're arranging, whether you're composing something from scratch, the melody is probably the most important thing, because that's what people identify with, that's what people will hear first, especially those that are not very musical. I mean, sometimes us musical people like to get a bit complex with either harmonically or rhythmically, but melody is the one thing that everyone can be able to relate to, that's what they're going to be singing along to. And that's what's going to speak to them at the end of the day. So I think combination of all of those experiences and listening to what I was listening to, which was a very structured sort of orderly music, I started doing things that way as well. Saying, okay, if I'm writing, I need to at least have 3 verses. I need to have a bridge. I need to have a chorus. I started thinking along those lines, sort of like how a hymn writer would approach a song, yeah. So that I think I started leaning very much towards wanting to tell a story and wanting people to experience like a positive trajectory as they listen to the song. They can tell that, okay, this is where we started, both in terms of musicality and in terms of lyrical content as well, and this is where we are now, so it became quite a lot of storytelling experience for me, and also I think it was a reflection also of myself when I listen to music, what I want to gain from it, as well. Yes, I'm very musical in nature, so I'm obviously more inclined towards the songs and arrangement that are very rich harmonically, especially because I think that's where I incline to most of the time. But also, I mean, I think I think I try to, or I want to try and satisfy all different kinds of ears in what I'm doing. So if you're very musically inclined, there'll be something there for you. But also if you're looking for actual content from the song, there'll be something there for you too, you know. If you're looking for a certain kind of performance, there'll be something there. So to satisfy everyone, I think that's what I've been trying to focus on. And it's very difficult sometimes, most of the time, to find that balance, you know. But I think sometimes it happens, and when it happens, it becomes a very beautiful thing, because what you're doing then can become very relevant to a lot more people,
Exactly.
and not just a particular group, you know, of people. Yeah.
Wow, you know, you. I don't even want to interrupt you because I want to just listen.
Yeah.
Because you know, you're actually showing what I believe. That
Yeah.
arrangers are really good. Well, good arrangers are good listeners.
Sure.
You know, so it's not only about making a sound or making a sound happen. It's about listening
Yeah.
and listening to the music that you've put together, but also listening to other music. You know, influences
Sure.
are very
Yeah.
important. And speaking of the influence of sort of a church start, I tend to see that experience. I
Yeah.
don't. I used to think it was limiting. I don't think it was limiting anymore.
Mm, mm,
It basically gave us a
yeah.
set of ingredients that we could play with. You know,
Sure.
we know that a song
Yes.
has a verse and a chorus. How do we know that? Because in the hymn,
Yeah.
when we sing a hymn in church, we know how we
Yeah.
sing the verse and we know what happens at
That's how it is.
you
Yeah.
see? So we're like,
Yeah.
so we can
Yeah.
use that. The whole bridge thing. A bridge, you know,
Mm,
is a new thing, is a completely different thing. But sometimes you may find that your bridge is so good, it's
yeah.
an interlude or whatever on its own, you know.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that, and I love that
Yeah.
arrangers, apart from from
Mm,
the first rule, as Dr. Dent put it, music. I mean, the
yeah.
melody is king. Apart from that, you've covered
Yeah.
this whole thing about our young musicians. We shouldn't criticize them
Mm,
for putting everything into the song.
sure.
It's just that they have a lot.
Yeah.
They have a lot going on. You know,
Yes.
calm down. You know,
Yes.
and that's the other thing that
Mm,
I love to say to new arrangers. You know, just keep at it.
yeah.
It's gonna settle. You're gonna find that sweet spot that you spoke about, where everything just
Yes.
falls
Yeah.
into place. Young, old, or everybody likes or can relate to it. Like is not as important as relate.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Yes.
I love that. What would you say
Yeah.
to a young arranger?
I think I'd go back to something that you also said, or probably something that I said. Listening, listening. I think that's something that's quite overlooked, you know.
Mm,
Um, Listening, which translates into learning. You know, the more you listen, the more you learn, obviously.
absolutely.
And yeah, the more you can then be able to develop those techniques, because like you say, we all have ingredients, we all have different kind of ingredients,
Mm,
but the thing that's responsible for bringing them all together is just technique, you know. And technique is, I would say, you know, as opposed to ingredients, which can be different. Technique is a more common ground. You know,
ah,
we use the same techniques to bring out different things because we've been influenced differently. You know, so I think listening helps you to be able to build, you know, that the technique that you need for whether songwriting or arranging, or you know, or whatever it is that you want to do. So yeah, listening, definitely the first thing. And also just giving yourself time and space and the opportunity to be able to express yourself. Like you're saying, you'll eventually be able to find your voice and to find your rhythm, you know. And I guess as you perform whatever it is that you're arranging, you'll also be able to tell from the people that are listening, you know, whether you'll be able to gauge the sort of reception, and
Mm.
you'll be able to see that, okay, if I have to write for a setting, this kind of setting, these are the techniques that I need to apply so that whatever I'm writing must be relevant in this particular setting. I think relevance is a big thing as well, but also I think something that has come with maturity as well for myself. In the beginning, it was just like, hey, this is what I'm doing, take it or leave it. This is it. You like it, you don't like it, whatever
Bravery
it
of
is.
youth.
Yeah, but I think relevance is quite a crucial thing, to know that, okay, this kind of setting requires this kind of musical mood, and this is the thing that people are going to appreciate from this kind of setting. That's also quite important, and that also builds your versatility, as an arranger. If you can be able to arrange for a whole lot of different settings,
Mhm.
and therefore you can be able to be more relevant to a whole lot of different spaces as well.
Mm.
And also, I mean, just a keen interest in just wanting to know more, about whatever it is that you're doing. I was telling someone yesterday that, YouTube, for instance, is probably the biggest educator these days.
Yep.
You can search for anything in YouTube and you'll find a video on that particular thing. So if you're looking to improve upon a certain skill or a certain way of doing things, open yourself up to wanting to read, to wanting to speak to people about certain things, have conversations, and just learn, and get all this knowledge so that you can be able to be relevant and be able to improve basically upon yourself.
Mhm.
And I think also just having the ability, or having the desire, at least, everything I guess starts as a desire to want to express more of yourself,
Mm.
more of what comes from within, you know
Yeah.
because there's a very thin line between what has influenced you and who you then become. You find arrangers and musicians trying to really, 100% mimic something that they're hearing, or mimic sort of
Ah.
an influence,
Uh-huh.
and that's, fine. There's probably nothing wrong with that, but in all of that, do you have room to express yourself, to express who you are?
When are we going to
Can you
hear
be
you?
able to use the yeah. Can you be able to use the tools that you gather when you're listening to, heritage singers or whatever, to be able to bring yourself out of that? So I think a lot of young arrangers, but like we say, it's a journey, but I think there should always be that desire to say, okay, this is what has influenced me, these are the tools I've gathered, how am I going to use that to express who I am, through the music, so that we don't have, another heritage singers, but we have something else that has been influenced by that, but that I've poured myself into, and that has now, become something something else. So yeah, I think yeah, from
Guys,
from
this
my
is
journey,
gold, eh? We
looking
must play
back.
this. We must play
Mm,
this section over and over again because this is gold. This is free. This is
yeah.
free. Um, very, very succinct advice for you in your recording,
Yeah.
in your performance journey, because I've in your arranging journey. Sorry, I'm all over the place because I have so
Yeah.
many things to say to you, which I can't say now. But yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just I just wanted to pick up on the fact that you mentioned technique, and I believe
Sure.
that I love what I love that approach, because technique is not, it's not about classical singing and classical training. Technique is also
Sure.
looking at various standards, that are to be
Yeah.
met. I mean, those don't change, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just a simple
Yeah.
example, in your vocal recordings, you don't have pops, you know?
Mm.
That's a technique issue,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So it's a simple thing that
Sure.
helps you to
Yes.
understand it. That's
Mm.
easy to do. That's
Yeah.
easy to do. What's
Yeah.
more difficult is for you to be who you are. And I love that you've touched on that,
Exactly.
you know? So
Yeah.
what's in the musical future? I am whenever I'm gonna play a song that has been
Yeah.
arranged by you, or
Yeah.
yeah, one of noteworthy stuff. Whenever I'm gonna play, I like have to like center myself to like just remain calm, you know, especially if I'm in company. I just like but you know,
Yeah.
yeah. What's happening this year? What are you up to?
This year, I've purposed to do something that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I think I'm finally in the right space, you know, mentally and also in terms of time. You know, I've written a lot of music in my lifetime,
Wow.
you know, but it's all in here,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so I've purposed this year that I really need to, and I should release that music. It shouldn't stay in the dark anymore. You know, I've gotten to a point where, you know, there's been some growth and maturity in what we spoke about earlier on, of just being able to get to the place where you let go, you know, and share who you are with the world. So that's definitely at the top of my list, you know. And I think I started with a single of, you know, The King Is Here, which
Yeah.
was released in January, which is sort of like, okay, you know, on your marks, get set, go. This is it now. which
That's really
which
cool.
which I think was the first, yeah, which I think was the first official song that I released under my banner, you know, which
Mhm.
isn't really connected to someone else. So, you know, I want to do more of that. I'm definitely going to do more of that. There's
Please.
actually a lot of things in the pipelines, um, that we're going to be releasing, things that I've written, and using, you know, my a lot of my friends that are vocalists to bring those ideas into life,
Mm-hmm.
because, you know, I can't do it myself. I think there was a song that I did release in 2015, um Umthandazo Woxolo. It was a choral arrangement, um that I released on SoundCloud, where I did all the voices myself.
I must
But
go
I
and listen
think
to
I think
this.
I realize now that actually, yeah, I realize now that actually, let me stick to what I'm good at, and allow other people to express themselves vocally, to express my idea vocally, because there's such great, man, collaboration is such a beautiful thing.
It is.
um, and I've realized, the more I've collaborated with other writers, other vocalists, how much more bigger a vision and idea becomes. You know, if you allow people to express it, you know, in a sort, to interpret your vision, you know,
Mm,
it
mm.
it always comes out so much bigger and better. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. This year I'd like to release as much of my composed music as possible,
Wow.
and specific specific concentration on composition, because I think we don't do a lot of that anymore. You know, it's easy to arrange some, to take a hymnal and arrange something, you know, but I think also going back to really expressing to people who you are. I think composition is also a very important tool by which you can be able to do that.
Mm.
So yeah, and I always encourage, you know, people to write more, write more, write more. You know, I also started with I started with the hymnal. Obviously, I think that's where we all start, and arranging the hymns and so forth. And I think when I felt I'd gathered enough tools, I then started venturing into actual composition. You know, when you're working on an empty slate,
Yes.
and it's difficult at first. I must admit, but I think you reach a point where you're able to just easily draw into all the tools that you've gathered over the years and just write something from scratch. Because we really need more of that. I think I'm more passionate about actually writing composition than arranging.
Wow.
And that's what I want to put out there, to show people that it can be done, and we can be able to produce worthy music, even from composition, worthy hymn like kind of music. So I think my main focus now is to everything that I'm releasing must be an original composition.
Wow.
And share whatever message I'm trying to share to people out there. Yeah.
And I think that,
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely music coming.
I'm very excited to hear that. I think that we sometimes tend to focus on the receivers of music, and we say that people don't accept original music.
Yeah.
And I say, let's just turn that around, because what you've described to me is
Sure.
someone who is ready to, you have accepted your music, you found your niche, you found your style. It's about you.
Yeah.
So we should be
Yeah.
encouraging people to put out their own music. Acceptance is not the issue.
Yeah.
It's about expressing yourself.
Yeah.
I am sure that there are so many young
Sure.
people, young arrangers, young performers, young writers,
Mm.
composers that are encouraged by this. We never have
Yeah.
enough time for these conversations because we have the time. But I want to say
Yeah.
thank you. I want to say thank you. I think that
Yeah.
it's been a treat for me to like hear you from the inside, and I think
Sure.
for everybody watching as well. So all the best with everything that happens.
Yeah.
We will be waiting with bated breath for the next big thing.
No. Yeah. No,
Thanks so
things are definitely coming. Thank you so much for having me. It was great to chat to you finally.
much. Thanks, Nick. We'll talk again.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right, not a problem.
Okay then.
All
Ciao.
right.